Hi, everybody. This is Molly McCord. Thank you for joining me. It's so good to be back, and thank you for your patience as I have been offline, resting, recovering, and taking care of myself. In today's show, we're going to talk about a variety of updates. We're going to talk about the Mercury Retrograde shifts. We're going to talk about the lunar changes, including the 2 Libra Full Moons, and just some overall energies that are happening right now as we move through this last week in March. Just a quick personal update from me. Yes, I have been offline for at least a week and a half, I think 2 weeks. And I started off with just a flu, which is awful and not fun. And then it turned into an upper respiratory infection that had me in bed for almost every day. And that, of course, is never fun. This is the first time I've been around preschool germs. So I've never been exposed to these germs before. But at the higher levels of consciousness, the way that I was feeling this energy was actually something more about part of the DNA turning over, a reprogramming, an aspect of energies that were dying and had fulfilled an energetic purpose and were being released. And, of course, that is something that we would feel physically, and it would show up as an illness, as something that would make us very tired, exhausted, a lot going on, and hard to understand. But these were the energetics I was feeling around this period in March, is that there is a big changeover in energies. And we know this through the Mercury retrograde in Pisces of this month. And I know that for many of you, it has been a really brutal, it's been a hard Mercury retrograde experience. I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment. But the energetics that I was feeling was actually overall really positive. Even though I hate being sick and, it's never something we choose, everything has a purpose. Everything is part of a cycle. Everything's part of a process. And when we can understand it from that capacity, from that place of consciousness, then we can also get mentally stronger. And mental strength is really important right now. Mercury is about our mental processes, and Mercury is not strong in Pisces. It's not strong retrograde, and it's not strong conjunct Neptune. At least it's not strong in the typical ways that we're used to processing information. It isn't our typical cerebral strengths. But in the other realms, in other energies, the Pisces experience reminds us that we are more than just our human selves. We are more than our physical selves. We are more than just this body on this planet at this time. We are more. We are limitless energies. And so I feel like a part of this month has been supporting us in tapping into that limitlessness, in tapping into the other ways that our energies exist and that our energies need support. And so if you have been taken off your game, or if it's been challenging, or if it's been a trying month, if it's been overwhelming, please know, my friends, that all of this serves a purpose because your energy is bigger than this. And if you can tap into that place of consciousness within you, it will help you to float. It'll help you to surrender. It'll help you to just allow the process to unfold. So it's been an interesting March because of these really strong Pisces energies. And please find the power in the situation for yourself. Ask to know what that is. Ask for guidance. Ask for messages. Ask for understanding of where is my power in this situation, even if that's not what I feel or that's not what I see. Please return me to that place in consciousness. And for me in my cerebral mind, I was feeling this DNA turnover and energetic release and downloads that were quite big and needed. And I've also had time to think back on my life and how when I have had something that has been exhausting and taken me out, it's always preceded a really exciting new chapter. It's really been about preparing for that next whatever, that next energy experience, that next chapter, that next energy to come. So again, mentally being strong right now can help you tap into more of your energetic self and take you out of any places that have felt overwhelming, defeating, discouraging, really emotional. March has not been easy in the ways that we would like things to be, quote unquote, easy. This Mercury has been drowning in Pisces. Mercury is the smallest planet, and it's drowning in the Pisces ocean. And it can be hard to find your bearings or to make sense of it all. This tells us we're not meant to right now. So if you can let yourself off the hook and relieve yourself of the burden of understanding, knowing, having the answers, having clarity, that can lift pressure on ourselves to understand what isn't understandable just yet. So part of March has been stepping out of our minds, going offline with how we typically move through our life, our responsibilities, our perceptions, going offline and allowing that to be okay when we live in a world that doesn't allow us to be okay offline. And we have expectations about how we should be in our lives and in our world, and all of that can serve a good purpose. But so much of March has been what we can't control, right? And how that is a gift too. That is a gift as well. Just a moment, I need to take a sip of water. This is the most talking I've done in a while, so I'll need to have some water breaks. Now, something I want to point out here with this Mercury retrograde is that there was a shift on March 15th when Mercury was retrograde, conjunct the Sun at 24 degrees of Pisces. And then Mercury continued moving retrograde backwards. Of course, it's an illusion, right? It's an illusion. And this meant that Mercury was moving backwards away from the Sun and was now a hidden Mercury behind the Sun. And not only behind it, but moving away. Because, of course, the Sun continues forward. The Sun is now at 4 degrees of Aries as I do this show. And Mercury has moved backwards to 16 degrees of Pisces, where it will station direct March 27th, 28th at 16 degrees Pisces conjunct Neptune. And so it's moved away from the Sun's warmth, the Sun's light, and became a Mercury in the shadows, right? Think of it moving further away from the sun. Instead of traveling with the sun or being in front of the sun, now it's in the shadows. It's behind, moving away and retreating into the depths of Neptune. Mercury is going to be conjunct Neptune as of March 25th until April 4th, 10 days of Pisces. So again, this goes back to allowing ourselves to go into other realms for information and answers, to trust what feels right. This is a very intensely feeling energy. It's intuitive, creative, imaginative. It's asking Mercury to go into the strengths of Pisces and to not fight it, to not drown, to not feel overwhelmed, but again, to float, to surrender, to allow, to say, I wonder where this wave is going. I wonder where I'm sailing to. I'm wondering, what is this about? And it could feel like the not knowingness can be a lot, but it's actually the strength right now. Because when we release the confines of the mind, we open up to more information that we would never tap into. So it's a bit of unlatching the mental cage and allowing more to be free, to be open. Mercury in Pisces can be very good for your intuition, for spiritual growth, for visions, for trusting what you see with your third eye, for trusting what you feel. It's a time of using the sixth sense, all the six senses, okay, all the senses, for stepping away from the limitations of the physical world. If you choose, if you allow, if you're willing, and to open up to more of your intuition. As humans, our psychic and intuitive powers are some of our greatest abilities. And if you can embrace that, if you can own that in you, that everyone has psychic, intuitive capabilities, then you're stepping further into your own mastery and your own gifts. And that is what this time is about at its best and highest. You can even hear messages. It's great for connecting with your guides, your angels, your spiritual team. It's good for listening and hearing messages, for channeling, for anything that you do in communication, Mercury, with other realms. The veil is very non-existent right now. The veil is like clouds, okay? And it's kind of like sticking your arm in a cloud. It's very mystical. It's very ethereal. It's very open. And that is where so the Pisces energy is strong and continues to be as Venus moves into Pisces on March 26th. And now we have the three planets in Pisces, Venus, Mercury, and Neptune. And this adds a softness to the energy right now. So the sun is in Aries. It doesn't feel like it. The sun entered Aries and had that conjunction with Chiron at 1 degree of Aries and then 2 degree of Aries. And so that is the vulnerability or the lack of confidence. And the sun in Aries isn't quite roaring yet, isn't quite up to full capacity because of this traveling conjunction with Chiron. And it's interesting because a lot about Aries season will actually start with the Aries new moon on April 4th at 15 degrees. That's when the moon and sun will be conjunct at 15 degrees of Aries, April 4th. Until then, it feels a little softer. And that's because of these planets in Pisces. It's because of the seriousness of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And Mars in Taurus is even quiet too. So it isn't your typical start to the sun in Aries. Now, the sun loves being in the fire signs because that is its natural element. And so when the sun moves from the water sign of Pisces into the fire sign of Aries, it gets a stronger sense of self. It returns to what fires it up, where the motivation is, where the inspiration, the growth, the action. There's new energy. And so it can feel like that perhaps is present, but not at a full roar just yet. And it seems to be part of how we're closing out March. That it's not your typical beginning to the equinox season, to the new zodiac beginning, because the sun in Aries starts the full 12-month cycle. And then, again, the equinox cycle, which begins the 3 months from now until the solstice. It's just a quieter energy. And again, this serves a purpose for how much is being done in other realms and how much is being dissolved as Mercury travels with Neptune for 10 days. Mercury travels with Neptune, removing, I'm seeing kind of like the blocks, perceptions that have been built up, expectations, patterns, like mental patterns, mental systems that we all operate with that can leave us on autopilot and we're not aware of it. Something like you perceive something or you see something happen or you take in new information and we're all on this autopilot of how to digest it intellectually or how to take it in. And Mercury traveling with Neptune is removing this programming, mental programming, unconscious or lower consciousness, cerebral systems and processes. I'm going to take a sip of water, just a moment. So the more you can trust this and allow it to occur, it will happen faster and it will move through. Okay, so it's going to move through based on your intention. And this goes back to how you access your power and your unlimited energy field. And if you can be in that place of this is just one experience on one timeline of one soul incarnation, and you can allow the dissolving and dismantling to happen, with your with a sense of your power, of what you're choosing, that shifts how you experience this time. Because we always get to choose our level of power, even when it feels overwhelming, even when it feels like there's just too much, or I don't know how to handle it, or where do I even begin? I mean, all of that is actually a message from your human self. This energy is asking you to go up higher to your higher self, your higher self, and your soul energy for power, clarity, and comfort. And that will change. That will actually change what you've been going through in March. This is a significant ascension period. This is actually a really important time for it's spiraling, okay, how we're spiraling. It's clearing out and making way for these next experiences, but it's also making way for the new energies to come through you on the planet, to come through each of us, to support what is needed next. And you know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing that we're actually further ahead than we realize. I'm hearing that there's been so much progress made. Even if you don't, again, see it, there have been more light portals opened up on the planet. Whoa. And I'm seeing it as this, a visual of the globe. And it looks like inverted pyramids of light coming down into the planet. And I'm going to get this wrong, but there was something last week, I'm going to get the specifics wrong, about how the northern lights were actually shifted southward. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to say it. You know what I mean. The energies coming from the sun that create the northern lights, that there was a shift where the northern lights came down to more southern places on the planet. Like it went through Canada, maybe even like the northern U.S. I think it was the middle of last week. It's part of the energies coming through and affecting new parts of the globe. Because there are so many more people awakening and becoming interested in 5D and higher level, but even these energies always affect the 3D, always affect the physical world. I'm getting the image of a meringue cake. You know how the meringue is like really thick and fluffy, and that's like the 5D, and it's just like all this meringue on top of the pie, and it's like a really thin piece of pie. But that slice, like that thin piece of pie, that lemon meringue, it feels the energies of light coming through, and that's why the dismantling, that's why things are actually starting to move faster. So all of this ties together. All of this is important to right now because there is more light coming through, and that light is directly related to spiritual growth of individuals and of the planet, of understanding how we are bigger energy vessels than simply our bodies. And more people understanding that activates more of our innate power, activates more of what we're doing together, activates more of our capacities to be in charge and improve the planet. There's good happening now because of our individual and collective willingness to be on this path. I'm hearing that some people could have some really crazy, cool, intuitive, and spiritual experiences over the next 10 days with this Mercury conjunct Neptune and Pisces. No going back. Like there's something that creates a change in you that you don't quite understand, but you feel it. And you feel it perhaps in your emotional body and through your intuitive senses. Okay. The other thing I wanted to touch on, friends, are the 2 Libra full moons. And it's related to this reprogramming energy and this rewiring. So we had a Libra full moon on March 20th, and it was at 0 degrees of Libra, right? So the very beginning of Libra. We're going to have a second Libra full moon, April 19th, at 29 degrees, the completion, the ending point. So March 20th, April 19th, these Libra full moons are taking us through to resolve where you are out of alignment in your relationship with yourself. There is a message here of looking at who you are now. The sun is in Aries. Aries is about self, self-definition, who you are before anyone tells you anything, who you are at your core. The Aries energy is associated with innocence. It's associated with even a child or a toddler, a sense of adventure, a sense of possibility, a sense of just that spark of life, like that desire of life, and feeling motivated to just be yourself. So it can have a very pristine energy to it, a pureness to it. It's fire, and it's a masculine energy, so it is a strong sense of self, and it's based on your own self-definition, okay? It's not about who other people, how they describe you. It's how you describe yourself. And these Libra full moons are about your relationships with other people. But first, in order to resolve or move through a relationship with another, you have to be in a full place of love with yourself. Your relationship with yourself is being reprogrammed, reconstructed. You're bringing it into a new place of awareness and light with these Libra full moons. You're looking at the mirrors in the world, the mirrors of people around you. What are they showing you? What are you learning from them? How are they reflecting who you are? And how does that show you your choices right now about who you truly are and the choices you need to make to honor that? And this can be choices around relationships. Now, I realize that is a big area of life, and there's no one answer, there's no one solution, there's no one path. But the basis of everything is energies. And so you're being asked to look at the energies within you that need to be resolved. If there's any conflict within yourself about who you are, this is a time of conflict resolution. Conflict resolution with the truth and the understanding of who you are based on your own terms. And this lunar cycle is important because it actually returns the lunar cycle to a normal process, which means that starting in May, I believe it's May 4th, we will now have a new moon and then the full moon. The new moon in Taurus, followed by 2 weeks later, the full moon in Scorpio. Then there will be the new moon in Gemini, followed by the full moon in Sagittarius. The lunar cycle is being returned to its natural rhythm. Previously, we've had these full moons and then the new moon, which brought up something emotional or big or illuminating first, and then we have to figure it out and resolve it, and then we got the new moon. I'm hearing harmony. This is a return to a harmonic cycle. After these 2 full moons in Libra, the lunar cycle returns to its natural rhythm. I'm just seeing how that puts it in greater alignment with the natural process and cycles of the universe. So this is an important changeover. I guess that would be a key word right now. March and into April, changeover. There's changes happening within us that are it feels like it's a return to it's like a different foundation, a different energy foundation. So indeed, it is a significant time. And our assignment is to stay in a place of power, stay in a place of higher consciousness, stay in a place of love for yourself, for what you're doing, for what you're moving through, for what you're learning. We're always learning, and that requires us to be, well, it doesn't require us, but we have a choice to be compassionate with ourselves. The spiritual growth takes a lot of work, and it's internal, and it's not something that people would even see or notice, right? It's your own energy, it's your own standards that you're being held to, that you're being asked to honor. And it can be a lot at times. But everything serves a purpose. Everything is part of a cycle. Every step is necessary. And even that perspective can bring comfort. Okay, I believe I'm done for today. Before my voice gives out, I'm going to go rest. Thank you for your patience. These things happen. It's all part of life, and I so appreciate your kind messages and your emails and your comments and your nice words. Thank you so much. I'm glad I can be of service and of support for you, and it's never boring, huh? So I'll be back soon, friends, with another weekly update. In the meantime, take good care of yourself, take good care of your heart, take good care of your mind, and always connect with the parts of you that are eternal and timeless, because we're doing great work here, and we're doing a lot more than can meet the eye, and that alone is an achievement. More details about me are below every episode, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.